welcome again. We have a very special guest with us today, Ana Brandt from Tustin, California. And we recorded this interview last week because unfortunately Ana had a newborn session this morning and couldn't join us live. But of course, as always, I can take your questions after we air the interview. Now, one thing I would like to first off just kind of do some administrative work here and tell you, for those of you who are watching on YouTube after the fact, I'd just like to be able to tell you how to get access to the freebie and what today's episode is all about. So today, it's 5 things you must have to build a sustainable business. And of course, we have our special guest, Ana Brandt, who has graciously decided to join us. And this, of course, is Jewel TV Takalate episode number 26, brought to you as a Jewel TV production. If you'd like to get access to all the archives of Jewel TV, go to jewel-tv.com and you can see weeks and weeks of episodes that we've done on all kinds of topics, from creative, business, and of course, mini mentoring and quick critiques that we do about once a month as well. So you'll have to opt in to get the archives. So what you'll see when you first get on to jewel-tv.com is this little form to fill out here. So once you fill that out, you will have free unlimited access to the archives, as well as all the freebies that we provide with each episode. And today we have a wonderful freebie, of course, that's all about social media and how to find a good strategy on social media. One of the common core threads with Ana Brandt's talk today is really using social media to market your business. And social media seemed to be the thread that kept things going throughout everything we talked about with her. Now, keep in mind that this recording did happen on Friday, and something kind of funny happened. We had a really strong windstorm here at my office. Literally, we had like 60-mile-an-hour winds, and I was trying to record this interview with Ana during a windstorm, and the power lines outside the building were literally arcing and touching each other. So we would have these explosions, and then we'd lose power. Like, I think it happened like 5 times during the interview. So Ana was so patient with me in dealing with our technical issues, and I ask you to be a little patient with me as well. You'll see me change locations throughout the interview, and we have a good laugh about it. And then, of course, my editor and assistant extraordinaire, Beth Brinston, edited some of the bloopers at the end, which are honestly quite funny. So enjoy this interview that I'm providing with Ana. And again, she is just an expert in marketing. She has been in business for over 17 years. On top of that, Ana just knows how to survive. She knows how to stay in business and have a sustainable business that thrives. She photographs tons of newborns down in Southern California, and of course has a thriving education business. In the show notes for this week's episode at jewel-tv.com, I've put a link to her website as well as her Taopan Facebook group, which has thousands and thousands of like-minded members who are there having great discussions on a daily basis. So those of you who are in our group, great, we love to have you, but I encourage you to head over to Ana's group as well, as they've got tons of great education happening there as well on a daily basis. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and introduce Ana Brandt to you all, and I thank you for joining us today, and enjoy this amazing conversation with an absolutely stellar woman who really knows how to get it done. Welcome, Ana Brandt. I'm so excited you're here with us today on Jewel TV. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I am excited too. We have a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about marketing. Of course, you're such an expert in marketing, have done amazing things in your own business, and such a talented photographer. And of course, the Belly Baby Conference. This is huge. This is a wonderful, incredible event happening in Newport Beach. Can you tell us just a little bit more about it before we get into the 5 things you need to have a sustainable business, the topic at hand today?
Yes, I'm very excited. It's held at the Hyatt Newporter in Newport Beach, California. And if you don't know anything about Newport Beach, it's a hop, skip, and a jump from Huntington Beach, Laguna Beach, Balboa Island. Fashion Island is directly across the street. It's a beautiful part of Southern California. And there's celebrities all over the place. You might bump into somebody that you admire. But it's an all-inclusive event, meaning the price includes all of the classes that you want to sign up for. During the day, there's a mixture of demo and keynote classes. Demo means that the instructors have models, and then keynote speaking as well. And then in the evening is when you have your prop shopping. We didn't want the shopping to interfere.
That's like the best part. It's all the prop shopping.
Yeah,
the vendor list is amazing.
Yes, we're excited. And what's fun is, of course, we want everyone to come to the conference and learn because we
Yeah.
believe in education. But if you can't, because some people say they have a wedding or maybe something they have to do, we do have prop shopping open to the public certain hours on Saturday and Sunday. So you can buy a shopping pass and just come and shop on Saturday and Sunday. Or
Fun.
if you're a student, you can shop Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night.
Well,
And
not to mention just the camaraderie between students and teachers and getting to mingle. And like, that's so much part of the learning process, I think.
yeah, because we're all staying in the same hotel.
Yeah.
And it's not a big, you're not going to lose people. It's not like a, 5 million square foot hotel where you hope to bump in the elevator.
Right. Yeah.
You're going to be seen. There's one place to eat, so you're going to see, you're going to see everybody every day. And even just the places, I did a Facebook Live from the hotel last weekend with my daughters, and there was a woman with her headphones on working outside, and it's such a beautiful space. And I think to be able to talk to the teachers, in the coffee room and be educated and be in a beautiful environment. And we have childcare option.
Really?
So children are going to be running all over the place.
I love it. Well, I'm bringing my own son, Dean, just so he can go to Disneyland afterwards. Because that right there, I mean, how could you not go to Disneyland?
It's right there. So I think it's, between the beautiful California sun and the amazing teachers. I mean, Jade Guy was coming all the way from Australia.
Wow.
Sandra,
And she's so talented.
It's amazing. And Sandra, who created Stand and Baby, she's coming all the way with her babies,
Nice. Oh, so exciting. Well, we'll talk more, of course, about the conference at the end. I wanted to get to the topic at hand today. Of course, on Jewel TV, we love to educate our viewers a little bit on a topic. And we're going to, meld minds a little bit and pick your brain about marketing. And today's topic, let me go ahead and share my screen and we'll get started here. Today's topic is, of course, all about marketing in essence. I mean, ultimately, it's about sustaining a business, but don't you think marketing is a huge component of that? The 5 things you must have to build a sustainable business. And Anna, how long have you been in business? Is it 17 years?
Yeah, this June, it'll be 18 years.
18 years, holy cow. I bet you've seen a lot change over the years.
Yes. Yeah, I started with film.
Did you really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Did you have like a dark room in your studio, or how did you?
I had a dark room in my home. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, it was actually a gift from my husband. I was so excited when I got my first enlarger, and I would change film in my closet. Mm-hmm.
Nice. Gotta love that.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the 5 things you must have to build a sustainable business. And, this really hits home with a lot of photographers who are starting out. And one of the first things that you told me was a newsletter, and that communication with your clients is key. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about like what to create, what to say, what if you don't have clients right now? Yeah. What's your thoughts on that, Anna?
Okay, so I'm amazed, as many places that I've taught, when I ask photographers how many have a newsletter, only maybe 5% of the photographers raise their hand.
Really?
Yes. And I've been saying this for at least 10 years. And what's amazing to me is newsletter is the most direct one-to-one communication you will ever have with somebody who has opted in, meaning they have said, yes, we want to hear more from you.
Yeah.
And so when someone's saying, yes, we want to hear more from you, you have a captive audience. But the biggest mistake we make is not giving people that option to even sign up for a newsletter, because I'll go to photographers' websites and I'll say, where's your newsletter? And they say, well, I don't have one because I don't have clients, because I don't know what to say. And, I could go to my daughter's dance studio and the first thing they'll say is, are you on our newsletter? I could go get ice cream and they'll say, are you on our newsletter? So you can get coupons. And I visit my town vendors all the time. And the number one question my local vendors ask is if I'm on their newsletter. And the reason is because they want you to be informed. That's what it is. A newsletter is direct one-to-one information, right? And what's great about it is it literally, you can add a sign up for your newsletter plugin, the script, the code. It takes 1 minute to do it.
There's tons of like plugins out there and things like that.
So for example, I use MailChimp. So that's who my mailing list is with. MailChimp, when you go in, and I did this with someone I was mentoring the other day on Skype, I said, let me show you how easy it is. because, there is a lot of misinformation out there. She had asked her web guy to do it, and he said, oh, it'll take a few weeks.
Yeah.
I said, no, it takes 1 minute.
It's so fast.
It's so fast. So I logged into MailChimp, and it said, create code, and it gives you the code to put in your website. And if you don't know how to do it, you can have someone do it, but it literally is a minute. And once it's on your website, what's great about a newsletter is no one knows how many people are signed up for your newsletter.
This is true. You can have one person and it's okay.
Your mother. And so, unlike all of the social media, where we know every count, every like, every follow, no one has any idea.
Yeah.
Right? So you have nothing to lose. You can email your mother all day long and see how
It's so true. But, I think a lot of times, I even get this way, and I'm sure you do at times too, especially in the beginning, but you open up your MailChimp or whatever service you're providing, and you look at this blank page and you're like, what do I write? What do I say?
What I tell people is, before you go to do that Facebook post, because here's the thing, I hear that all the time, except that the same people that are saying it, myself included, we're so quick to run to Facebook and go, hey guys, I'm working on spring specials. Hey guys, we're renovating our studio. Hey guys, we're going to have Mother's Day specials. Hey guys, we're taking a month off for summer. You're so quick to do all of that on social media because we want to communicate with our clients, even prop vendors. Hey, I'm making new patterns. Every time you go to do that on social, stop yourself and go and do that in a newsletter first. And then post that newsletter on social media and say, hey, did you get my latest newsletter? Did you know we're renovating our studio? Or did you know that we are coming up with a new spring line? Or we're going to have summer specials? Or we're bringing Santa this year? Or, hey, did you know I just came back from fabulous training? Or I just won an award.
Yeah.
It's like so many press releases. And
is.
Yeah, and people are doing.
Do you think I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I had a question on the top of my head. Please finish your thought, Anna.
No, I was just going to say, we're doing this every day on social media anyway.
Yeah.
But then we get upset that no one's seeing it.
Right. Well,
right?
And the life of a Facebook post is minutes, whereas an email, you've got a few days. Even if somebody doesn't, check their email daily, they will check it and go through the list and say, okay, which ones do I need to pay attention to and which ones don't? So, but like, how do you think there's too much communication? Like, you can be too annoying with emails?
Okay, so I used to think that way. I used to think, because I used to send, oh my gosh, I would have, New Year's clean out, and then I would have we used to do these Valentine silhouette specials, and then spring minis, and then Mother's Day, and then Father's Day, and then Christmas in July. So I used to be so regimented that I would have every month my marketing campaigns, and I would send out these newsletters and all the time. And then one year I missed Christmas in July. Christmas in July did not happen. I was too busy, and I was like, oh, you know what? I feel like I'm always bothering my clients anyway, so we're just not going to do Christmas in July. And Tiffany, my assistant who's with me 10 years, remembers the phone started ringing like a week into July, and people going, did Anna take me off her newsletter? Is there, and Tiffany would be like, what? No. And I remember the first time that call came in, I remember Tiffany going, why? I don't think so. Let me ask her. And I said, no, why would I ever remove anyone off the newsletter list? And the person said, well, because every year we get Christmas in July, and Anna's in such a routine with her emails, and then all of a sudden they're stopped. And it wasn't just one call. The first call, I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And, no, I'm so sorry, but we're going to do something in August. And then it was call after call after call. And Tiffany was like, wow.
You're like, I need to keep up with this.
Yeah. And
they rely on that. They rely on the communication. They
rely on it, and it's consistency. And even the other day, this client said, I know you have, you do your Christmas in July specials, just want to make sure I'm on your newsletter, blah, blah, blah. And we just released a Mother's Day gift certificate special. And we also released a baby video. And one of my clients called and said, 2 friends called her and said they saw the client's baby video, saw the Mother's Day promotion. And the client said, see, this is what I'm telling you about. Every year she does this Mother's Day gift certificate promotion. Her newsletter just went out. Sign up for her newsletter because she'll send a reminder probably on Friday. So what will happen is your clients will start spreading the word going, oh, you didn't know about her special? You didn't know that they're moving? You didn't know she had a baby? Sign up for newsletter.
And forwarding that is a common practice among people. I think it really comes down to communication being key. And I think that the number 2 thing that we talk about when it comes to sustaining a viable business is promo videos. And I liken that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I liken that a lot to showing your worth and showing the inner workings of what you do and how incredible you are at what you do. And a lot of it seems like bragging, but can you talk to us a little bit about what a promo video means to you? What are they? And what is the intrigue to see that behind the scenes stuff in the studio?
Yeah, and I can say it in one sentence, because marketing is not about how good you are. It's showing the world who you are. And a lot of people don't want to jump into promo videos or don't want to jump into videos because they think they're not good enough, or they're not thin enough, or their hair is not the right color, or we're too self-conscious. And it's not about that. It's, if you're going to market and you want people to know who you are, you have to show them. And the best way to show them is to show them how you work. Mm-hmm. You know, because my client is the client that struggled with infertility for 10 years. Mm-hmm. My client's the client that spent 6 figures to have this baby. My client's the one that has surrogates who's had 5 baby losses. Mm-hmm. And they're not interested in finding a photographer, you know, who's working out of their garage, you know, giving things away for free. Mm-hmm. They're interested in being able to see who their photographer is, see how they work, how do they hold the baby, what does their environment look like, what does their space look like, how do they dress, you know, how do they communicate? You know, that in a promo video is showing the world who you are and where you work in the space that you create. And it's so important.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. What was your journey? I kind of like to go back a little bit into when you started promo videos and kind of what your experiences was and what you saw. The effect of it.
I have a perfect example of when the light bulb went off for me. I started my YouTube channel in 2008 with nothing but a flip cam and a tripod. No idea what I was doing. The videos were horrible. Just to show people how to like wrap a pregnant woman. That's how it started. So my original video was not for marketing. It was really education, because we'd talked briefly before, just, you know, serving and showing people what you do. And I had just learned a lot. And I was like, I just want to, like, you know, share little tutorials. So that was just kind of, I'll just show, you know, behind the scenes of me working. And the word marketing did not enter my brain at all. Okay. And life went on in years of my YouTube channel. And it was about maybe 7 years ago. Out of the blue, I get this email from this guy in Afghanistan. And I thought it was spam. I thought it was, he's going to ask for money and you know, interested in a photo session, mail me a check type thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, you know, we only book by calling the studio and paying a deposit. And I'm just being very formal with him in email. And he says, okay, but, you know, I'm in Afghanistan and my wife is pregnant and she lives in California. And, you know, I want to book it. So when I come out there, we come in with my new baby.
Oh my gosh, this would send so many red flags up.
Right? And are we just so critical, or I don't know what? That's what was going on in my brain. So blah, 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 blah. And he said he could only call the studio at 10 o'clock. That was the only time he could use the phone.
Okay. Red flag number 50.
Correct. One day I'm in a newborn shoe and Tiffany comes in and Tiffany says, Anna, there's this guy Nico on the telephone calling from Afghanistan. And I'm like, okay. And she goes, have you been talking to somebody? And I go, I have, but I don't know if he wants money or what. And, you know, I'm just shoving it off again.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, I'll handle it. So I finished my session and I said, how did it go? And she goes, he booked his wife's newborn session and he paid the deposit.
Okay.
Yeah. And until Nico changed my life. Until he walked in my studio, I was still waiting for, you know,
the other shoe to drop.
Correct. In walks this gorgeous tattooed guy with a stunning wife. I still follow her on Instagram. Breathtaking. The beautiful baby. Most beautiful couples I've ever photographed. And I'm like, Nico, like I just looked at him speechless. And he knows this whole story.
Yeah.
He starts laughing. He goes, Anna, I'm an amateur photographer and in Afghanistan. And when we're not learning about war or serving the country, we're watching YouTube.
Wow.
And I'm like, wait, what? And he goes, yeah. And I've been watching your baby videos for the past year. And I'm like, you have in Afghanistan? And he goes, yeah. And I told my wife, I found our newborn photographer in California.
Now, okay, but she was in California. I mean, obviously it's a family issue and they're traveling and whatever, but that's amazing.
Yes. And it wasn't the first story. Shortly after that, there was another military couple. He was in one state, she was in another, pregnant. And she found me on YouTube and told her husband, go look up this photographer on YouTube. When we get back home together to have our baby, we're hiring her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's a video on YouTube where we had put the baby like in the dad's pocket. That was that couple.
Yeah.
So, with Nico, I literally was blown away.
So at that point, did you hire a videographer? Is that when you hired? Because I know you have a full-time videographer, don't you?
Yeah. Alex has been with me now 3 years.
Okay.
So at that point, I brought in 2 videographer interns. And no, I brought in I brought in a videographer intern, and Alex was an intern, not for videography.
Okay.
And the videographer I had was just, we just didn't mesh well. And
it happens,
Alex left on his internship. His internship was finished, and then out of the blue, I even forgot who he was. And out of the blue, he said he got a call from me. I don't even remember this part. And out of the blue, he got a call from me, and I said, come in and we need to do videos like now, and like the rest is history. And he jokes because he says that I don't even remember him as an intern. And he forgot about me. And then I just called him and was like, you need to get in here now. And it took about, I think, a year or 2 after that where I literally said, wait a minute, we have to completely 180 my message. My original message was to just show behind the scenes, to teach other photographers, to try to and teach myself, really.
Yeah.
I grew in these videos. I look at some of them and I just want to throw up. And all of a sudden I said to Alex, I sat him down and I go, wait a minute, no. Why did Nico hire me? Because he saw how I worked. We have to shift the message and cut it down and show just that beautiful, pretty, emotional part, and still show me working and show them, why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
And each video my actual promo videos, I end up hiring Susan Roderick, who's teaching from Creative Live last year, which is another huge change. And that's the thing with video is any art, you have to allow yourself to evolve.
Yeah.
We were perfectionists, right? We want to get it right the first time.
Oh, yeah.
Right? On everything.
Oh, yeah.
But it's art, and it's impossible. And there's no perfection. Perfection doesn't exist. So I tell people.
I always say progress, not perfection. Like, just grow.
Exactly. Progress. That's perfect. Because would I be able to have jumped right into the perfect video right away? No. I had to do the terrible videos with my flip cam, and I had to do all this. And I tell people it doesn't take you 8 years to do it, but you've got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And, when I brought
it's overwhelming, though. I mean, like the thought sometimes can be, but I mean, I guess my advice to photographers is just keep it simple. Start simple like you, and just do a quick behind the scenes or a fun little personality type video and post it on Facebook. Just get that. Facebook Live is a wonderful opportunity for photographers to show what they do.
And people want to see behind the scenes videos get more views than anything else. You could be cleaning out your garage, and if you post a behind the scenes video, everyone will tune in.
Well, and even if it's in your garage and it's a mess or crazy or like, wow, and then you show the images and people see that you're shooting this beautiful work out of a garage, there's a fascination, there's an intrigue, there's something marvelous about that, how an artist creates. Seeing the process of an artist and how they think in their head, I think is huge, because you see artwork, you see beautiful paintings, you see beautiful photographs, you're like, how did they come up with that? What was in their head? And the video behind the scenes kind of gives a taste of that, I think.
Well, this is why DIY shows and reality shows are still number one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh yeah. So let's talk social strategy. Number 3, using social media. Because of course, videos are going to get posted on social media as well as your newsletter and things like that. It is a beast. I mean, everybody knows that it's a feed the beast mentality. You have to feed it all the time, every day. But that in itself is overwhelming as well. How do you manage it? What do you do? What's the strategy?
Yeah. First of all, learn when to shut it off is number one, because it's a time sucker, and you can spend all day and then go down this whole rabbit hole and then feel like you've done nothing because you've spent all day posting, and then you're not getting the response that you want, and then you're not getting your work done. So what I tell people, my husband and I actually both, because we're both self-employed, we actually have times where we will shut out. Facebook is closed. The browser is closed, so that we can focus on work. So my biggest strategy is, definitely more than one time a day. My time is usually in the morning and maybe briefly midday and then in the afternoon. But I do set time limits. So I also schedule posts a lot. I'm a big scheduler. If I'm going to travel, I'm scheduling. I mean, I scheduled the newsletter to go out this morning and propagate, before this call. So I tell people part of your strategy should be scheduling.
Mm-hmm.
Schedule, if you're posting, if you have 5 baby images to post just one, and then schedule the other 4 for throughout the day, so that it automatically will propagate through social media and you can get your work done.
How do you think social media strategy keeps a viable business though? I mean, we're kind of talking about these 5 things in terms of the context of having a sustainable business. I mean, everybody's on social media and we get that, but how do you balance feeding the beast and using it to do the sustainable business thing? You say scheduling, but some people don't like to brag, some people don't know what channels to choose. How do you kind of like break it down in like a step-by-step, okay, this is where I should start. This is where I can get the ball rolling without letting it take over my life?
Okay. Well, the bragging part is, no one's going to knock on the door and market for you unless you've hired them to do so. Right.
Sure.
So your job is to show your work all the time, everywhere, and be consistent. And that means, and I know we're going to talk about websites, but that means everywhere. That means on social media, whether if it's not every day, 3 to 4 times a week, posting your clients who want to see their cute photos that you just did. Yeah. And the bragging doesn't have to be about you, it can be about them. Look at that adorable 3-year-old that I just photographed. He was work, but he was amazing and gorgeous and worth it. Yeah. And I always tell people, when you have hard sessions, post about it, because everyone thinks that babies don't cry and toddlers are perfect. And we know that's not true. So, when you're posting on social media, be like, hey, listen, this was a tough session, or this baby didn't sleep the whole time, but look at this beautiful, beautiful sleeping baby. And look at how, gorgeous this image is, and constantly just being consistent. Mm-hmm. And making sure that your message and your branding are always the same. And you have your links, and just because people want to see that you're actively working. And I know this is a struggle for people that don't have a lot of business, because maybe they're not shooting as many, models and clients or whatever. They don't have as images. And that's why I say break it up. Don't show your whole session don't vomit your whole session in one post. Show one image here, show another image there, mix it with behind the scenes. Who are you? What are you shooting? What are you doing? Even if you're taking a day off and you're going prop shopping, post a photo of that. And I think the biggest thing with sustaining a business is consistency. Mm-hmm. Consistency. Even if someone's not paying you, you're still working. There have been so many times over 18 years where maybe my phone wasn't ringing, or maybe the bank account wasn't as full as I'd liked, but I was still always working.
Yeah. My dad used to always say chance favors the prepared mind. So when you're not working, preparing your mind and working on your business allows that chance opportunity that comes to you for you to be able to take it and go. Right. So even when things are slow, even when you don't have clients coming in the door, if you educate yourself, go to good conferences like Belly Baby Conference, get on the internet, search YouTube videos, do stuff that like prepares your mind. And then when the opportunity, the chance does come along, you're going to nail it and you're going to go through the roof with it. So I think that's incredible advice. Let's go on to number 4, that viable website that you just talked about. Keeping it up to date and fresh. I see so many beginning photographers who just have a Facebook page and, you know, Facebook businesses page, but like Facebook controls that. You don't control that. And I'm always of the mindset, your website is your storefront window. That's what you control. So it needs to be completely branded to you and speak to who you are. What are your thoughts on that, Anna? And how do you relate a website to a viable business?
I agree 5,000%. You know why I feel so passionate about it? I don't know if you know, but I became a web designer at 22 years old.
Did you really?
Yeah, that was my first real entrance into the whole web world. The internet had only been out a couple of years, and I had a female boss from Chicago, and she said, "Do you want to learn how to build an intranet?" And I said, "I didn't even know what an intranet." An intranet is the internal website.
Yeah, intranet. Yes,
Intranet,
okay.
Right.
I heard you correctly now.
Yes, and I was like, okay, and I became a Microsoft certified web developer and designer, and
Wow.
I spent years hand coding and building websites for corporate and personal. Because I was an amateur photographer, I had a website from the very beginning that I owned. I mean, we've probably controlled over 100 domains over the years, and it is what you own. I can't stress it enough. It's yours.
Yeah.
It's yours. Nobody can take it away from you. It's your home. It's who you are. And I remember when I finally went pro for photography, the website was the easy part because I'd been a designer, so I'd already did it. Did that mean it was a great website? No, I've had 5,000 renditions over the years, and I'll probably change it 5,000 more times. But if Facebook blows up tomorrow, where are you going to be?
You still have your website and then that newsletter, the list. You still have your list.
Your
newsletter.
You own it. And we keep saying, oh, Facebook is never going to go away. Really? What happened to MySpace? Really?
Yeah, you just never know. You just never know. Well, and it's I think it's the whole mindset shift of control. Who controls it?
Yes.
And photographers who are starting out think that everybody's on Facebook, so that's where they want to be naturally. I mean, that's a natural thing to think. But really, using Facebook as a traffic mechanism to your website, I think is so much more viable long term, because then of course once they're on your website, you can get them on your newsletter and you own that content, you own those contacts, and you can communicate to them whenever you want, not when Facebook's algorithm decides that, oh, we'll show this post to so and so.
Correct. Also, 99% of my clients have gone to my website before they booked me.
And they should be. That's where they should go.
Correct. And I know this because I ask them every single day. I ask my clients, how did you find me? Have you been to my website? When someone calls about pricing, when someone calls about, have you been to my website? It's out of my mouth all day long. And they say, yes, I've been to your website. Yes, I've read everything about you. So when people call me, they're not calling to ask a million questions. They're calling to book.
Yeah.
So if your phone is ringing and they're asking you 5 million questions, you haven't done your website homework.
Yeah.
Your clients should be calling you to validate what you've written on your website, to verify that with you, and to book.
Yeah. So what are the kinds of things you should have on your website? And what about, I mean, real quickly, blogging? Oh, that's a beast. To blog or not to blog? That is the question.
And I did read something recently that said that blogging is not as necessary as it used to be. And I don't know if it eventually, I don't think it'll ever go away. And I know that some bloggers really make their living on blogging, but no, I feel like I don't think you really need to blog all the time. I think it's good. And if you can be consistent, that's something I struggle with, because in my mind, I'm blogging all the time, but I'm actually not. Because I do. In my mind, I'll be like, oh, this is a fabulous blog, and I'll write the whole thing, but I don't actually do it. And so I'm guilty of the blog as well. And I got to tell you, over the years, people don't really come in and go, oh, I read your blog. They don't really do that with me. Yeah. And I don't really think I think if you're struggling with it, just get rid of it. It's better to have no blog than an outdated blog.
Yeah, than one that looks like you are lazy and not posting.
Yeah, totally. Just get rid of it. It definitely, you have to be up to date. There's nothing worse than going to someone's website and their last blog post was 4 years ago. You'll lose traffic in 3 seconds.
Oh yeah, in a heartbeat.
I think the number one thing is to always have a photo of yourself and your location. And I know that sounds silly, but how many times I go to a person's website and I don't know what they
You
look
don't even know where they are, or there's no phone number. Like, you can't call them.
right.
Oh, it drives me crazy.
Yeah, don't just do a contact form. That drives me crazy.
And if that drives us nuts, then clearly it's driving the potential client away too.
Any business, if I can't call you, I'm out. I don't want to fill out a form and wait for you to call me. I want to call you right now.
We are an instant gratification society, and it's important for your clients to be able to get the information they need immediately. Yes. And the nice thing is when they do call and you do talk to them and they say, yeah, I have seen your website, chances are they already know all that information. And that's reassuring to me when I get that phone call, knowing full well, hey, they know about me. This is just sealing the deal. This is just getting the session fee and the session is booked. Whereas if they haven't looked at the website, the random chances that someone calls and they haven't, you're like, oh, great, I got my work cut out for me.
Here we go. Put on the headset.
Right?
Coffee. Here we go. And I do. I have a headset for that reason. See? When they say I've been to my website, I'm like, all right, here we go.
Here we go. Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah. But when people say, what do I put on my website? I say, all it takes is one phone call from a client. And once they've asked you 50 questions, I guarantee you that night you're going to sit down on your website.
Put all those questions on the website.
Write down your cancellation policy. And that's really, how your website continues to foster and grow, and that's what having assistants or having a team is so helpful for.
The last thing, and I think honestly is one of the most important things, is personal discipline and self-motivation. And in order to do a sustainable business, you have to have these things. You can't do it without it, right?
Yeah, you really can't. You have to have a driving force. You have to have something that gets you out of bed every single day, whether that phone is ringing or not. Absolutely.
What do you think? I was going to ask, what do you think personal discipline and self-motivation means, and why is it so critical?
When you make a decision to be in business, whether it's photography or whatever you're doing, you have to at some point tell yourself, this is what you want to do and why. That motivation, that motivating factor, what is it? When I became a professional photographer, I had no idea what was ahead of me. And that's, I think, people's biggest struggle is they're not patient for the process. They're not patient for longevity and long term. If you're in this, that means you're in it, whether you feel good or not, whether your phone is ringing or not, whether someone likes you or not, you're in it. You have a personal motivation to say, I have decided to be what? A professional photographer. Done. That means that if someone isn't calling you and booking you and paying you, you're going to go out and create projects yourself. I photographed flowers for like a year, to learn macro photography. Yeah, I have a whole flower collection in my garage.
That is so cool. That is so cool.
Because I wanted to study macro photography. I actually am looking at I'll show you one of my flower pictures here in my office. And I was fascinated with my macro lens and learning light. And whenever I wasn't doing like something for a paid client, I was shooting for myself. Mm-hmm. And whether it was flowers, whether it was beach scenes, I was just doing it for myself and to keep myself motivated. I won so many contests from just my personal work, just doing things that made me happy. That's where that motivation comes from, is doing things for you that makes you happy. And when people see that, when people see you're still working, you're shooting, you're doing things for fun, you're motivated, they want to flock to you and your business will flourish. But if you're sitting at home feeling sorry for yourself, still in my pajamas, nobody's calling me, I suck, I'm just going to sit on Facebook and think about how much better everybody is, who wants to be around that? No one wants to be around that.
And it's like, there's not a boss giving you a paycheck. So if you want the money to come in, you have to have the personal discipline to keep working at your business on a consistent basis, because you're the only one who's going to get that paycheck. And if you're not actively working on your business and, like you said, getting up every morning with that self-discipline, that personal motivation, then nobody's going to do it for you. And I always thought, I think it's a mindset shift. And I want to know if you had this same, I know you were raised with a really strong, motivational type family. But is there a mindset shift that happens when all of a sudden you realize that, hey, the money's not just going to come as if I worked for a corporate job. Like, I'm not going to get a steady paycheck unless I go out and actually do something about it. How does that mindset shift change for you in your business?
I don't think I had that mindset shift. I think and only because as I've explained to you, I was raised in a way that I was just raised in a very, very personal, motivating family.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have any mind shifts or epiphanies like I did with video.
Yeah.
I've always had that driven work ethic. My very first corporate job, I was 19 working in Panasonic. I was the youngest employee they'd ever had. And I feel like I've always had a driving factor. And I think it came from my parents not just giving me money. It came from way back there. So I paid for my own college. I remember my car, my dad gave me $1,500 and said, you can buy used or new, but this is all you got, And my whole life was, when I started my business, I was newly married and everybody assumed my husband was footing the bill. It was extremely insulting.
Yeah.
They'd say, did you just get out of college? Because I always looked younger than I was, which is nice now. But when I started out, it was not nice. I felt like I was, for like 5 years, I felt like I was insulted because they would look at me like, oh, did you just get out of college? Or did your husband, did your husband get the studio for you? Or I would show up to a job and they would go, oh, is the photographer on their way?
Oh.
Yeah, and I'd be like in a braid in overalls at 29, and I would be like, well, I'm it. Oh. And so I felt like I always had that drive. Like, where I think it comes from? I think, and this can be good or bad, it comes from people not expecting much of you.
Yeah. So
you can do this a couple of different ways. And you can use this in your previous life or now. So in my example, because I'm adopted and because I was kind of the runt of the litter, no one really expected, I was the black sheep of the family. I wasn't a great student. I was a terrible student. No one really expected anything of me. And so I kind of built my business and built my life with people doubting me, thinking I probably wasn't any good, I probably wasn't going to make it. And that was my motivating factor. Like, no, I don't think you understand. I said I was going to be a professional photographer. Well, I'm doing it.
It's going to happen.
I'm going to happen. Like running this conference. I said I was doing this. I'm doing this. And for some people, they may say, oh, well, my business, and I hear this every day, and I'm sure you do too as an educator, you say, oh, no one's calling me, and, my work isn't good enough, and you're putting yourself down and putting yourself down and putting yourself down. And it's like, you know what? You got to get over that. Mm-hmm. You know what? Let people prove yourself to you and other people. No one expects anything of you. Great. This is the perfect time to shine. How many times have we seen the underdog come out, right? Oh, how many times in a race you see the person in the back and you think they're never going to make it to the front? And that person's sitting there running the race going, you just wait. I'm pacing myself. You just wait till I get to the sprint.
I think it's harder to, once you've kind of had some success, staying there. Like that's actually harder than being the underdog and going up.
Exactly right. And that's building a sustaining business is now people are watching you and now people see you have a business. And my biggest challenge came, and I think this is not the mindset, but this was a turning point for me. When everything was crashing. What year was that? 2000. My daughter was
8, 9. Yeah, right in there.
Okay. So at the end of 7, going into 8. Yeah. Around that time frame, after I had my third daughter, I remember that businesses were just like everybody was folding up. And my studio, when I was pregnant with my third baby, I had went from, my second child, sorry, I go by pregnancies.
Okay.
My first studio, 500 square feet. Now, I'll make this a quick story. I was pregnant with Olivia. First studio, 500 square feet, $515 a month. I knew I could afford it. I just wanted a space outside of my home.
Yeah.
Pregnant with that's all I wanted. Within 1 year, because the economy was booming, it's 2003, everyone's spending money like wildfire. I moved from a 500 square foot studio to a 2,500 square foot studio and became a 6-figure business and had a baby in 1 year.
Wow.
It was right time, right place.
Yeah.
Everything was Moved to the
stars aligned.
center of town, the same block that I'm on. I'm just on the other side. Smack dab in the center of the town, double storefront. There was my name. And business is booming, business is booming. I get pregnant with number 3 because my daughters are 23 months apart.
Oh my gosh.
So pregnant with number 3. Now I'm building a staff, center of town. Things are the best they've ever been. And then what happens? The economy
crashes.
crashes. I've got 3 kids, all less than 2 years apart. My husband had decided to leave corporate. He was director of IT for Siemens International. I knew the whole marriage. He traveled, worked for corporate, has steady paycheck, was on his own, decided to go on his own before the market crashed.
Oh.
Now, 2 self-employed people with 3 kids and a home and a studio in the center of town. And I remember, talk about
the need for personal discipline and self-motivation.
Yeah, you sit there and look at each other and go, oh my God, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
And I remember, and, you know, men don't handle it well when they're in between work and jobs. And, you know, he wasn't in between, he was working on his own, but it's very different than when you're working for someone else and you have a steady paycheck and your clients are going, I can't pay you.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I remember telling myself, what am I going to do? Like, I was worried, and I started to lay people off and you know, downsize my staff and penny pinch and do everything I could. And every single time someone asked me how was business, my answer was great.
Ana, you've been so patient with me. Thank you. Overall, those 5 things. I think discipline is one of the most important, but videos, social media, a website, a newsletter, all these things that you can control and really show the world who you are. Is that really what it comes down to?
Yes. And be patient in the process.
Yeah. I think so too. I think it's being patient and then just being kind to yourself. I mean, don't you think? Overall, just letting yourself love your art, and then, you know, but at the same time, not being afraid to put yourself out there is really what it comes down to. I want to plug the Belly Baby Conference one more time. I'm so excited to be speaking at this event. We have 25 different amazing instructors from all over the world, and it's going to be just so much fun with 3 days of intensive study with newborns and camaraderie and prop shopping. Give it one more time, Ana. I mean, you've worked so hard, and by the way, I admire your just go get them to make this happen, because I know how much work this thing is, and you've been working your butt off to make it happen. So thank you for what you're doing for the industry.
Thank you. It is a lot of work. And what I don't want people to say is, oh, I wish I would have.
Right. Right. And yeah, it's an investment, but it's an investment in you and your education. And just like we said, chance favors the prepared mind. You've got to prepare your mind constantly. And if you want to be good at your craft, you have to keep learning at all times, don't you think?
Oprah Winfrey says luck is when preparation meets opportunity.
Oh,
so lucky. No, that photographer's not lucky. That photographer is prepared.
And worked her butt off. Worked her fanny off to make it happen.
But we have worked, right? Haven't we worked for all the opportunities?
Oh, it's huge. You have to work every day, and you have to schedule your time. You have to be motivated and get stuff done and do your best to multitask and to actually manage tasks, I think is the big thing. So
yeah. And I got to tell you, I know people that have sold props, ran mini session marathons to come here. Don't tell me you don't have the money. Tell me find a way to get the money. We have 3 different payment plans, for God's sakes. There's a way to do it. And at the end of the day, that's what credit cards are for. So seriously, you know, they say
you pay them off, right?
They say they can't afford it. They've got a $500 camera bag. I mean, seriously, where's our money supposed to be spent? It's supposed to be spent on education. These instructors are giving up their time and they're lugging their families. And, you know, as an instructor, it's time away from your own business and your own family to teach and educate. And we've got 25 people willing to do that. So let's honor the commitment of our instructors and the message that they want to give you, because at the end of the day, the point is to raise everything to a higher standard, right? That's what we're all trying to do.
Absolutely right. Ana, you've been so wonderful. You've put up with my power failures. I think we've lost power like 3 times during this interview. You were so sweet to be with us. Thank you. And everyone, I will post a link to Belly Baby Conference, of course, in the show notes for this episode of Jewel TV. And again, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And Ana, most of all, thank you to you.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, Anna, we're back. This is crazy. I have a massive windstorm going on in my studio. So bless Belinda's heart. She's like trying to clear the trash out. We're losing power, but we'll get through this. So anyway, you just, oh, holy crap. Did you see that? The power line like flared. Did you see that? Holy crap. Oh my gosh.
Oh my
God.
God.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh. 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 Okay. We have like power lines touching each other and exploding outside. Okay, meanwhile, there's just a crazy windstorm going on outside. My internet connection is a little unstable, but we're gonna like let this rip. Okay.
Good luck.
Okay. Thank you so much. We had a fun time recording that. And of course, Anna was gracious enough to set aside more than an hour of her time to help out with that and to give you guys some great and very valuable education from truly an industry leader and someone in our industry who's been in business for a long, long time. So we have a couple questions and I wanted to address those. Hopefully I can answer most of them. If I can't, I'm sure Anna will address those in her Facebook group. So go ahead and if you're not a part of her Facebook group, go ahead and join that. But Marie says, how do you manage to do all of it when you're a one-person business? Marie, I can relate to this heavily. I mean, both Anna and I started off doing it by ourselves, and it is a lot of work, especially in the beginning. And I think that's the big takeaway message, is that the beginning will always be a huge challenge. I would say for the first 3 to 5 years, it's gonna be overwhelming at times. Belinda and I were talking about this the other day because Belinda's about a year into her own business of graphic design, and she's like, how do you find time to do it all? And I said, B, it is crazy the first year. I mean, I was working 40 hours a week in a corporate job, and then the other 20 hours, any spare time I had, I was working on my business. And it was just a crazy fest. I mean, I didn't have time for anything. And my boyfriend at the time, who is now my husband, I mean, poor guy never saw me because I was constantly working on my business. And it does take that personal discipline and self-motivation to get through that. And I know sometimes it's really hard because that voice in your head loves to just criticize you and say, why are you doing this? This is a futile effort. It's way too much work. But it's not. It's your dream, and it's what you were put on this earth to do, and your gift that you're going to give to the world. And it's critical that you keep pursuing it, because ultimately that is the dream, right? To take your visual eye, your talent, your desire to create and turn that into something viable that you can actually make a living off of. And I think that's what's most critical. You just have to keep your eye on that prize all the time. You have to schedule yourself out. You have to not take on more than you can handle. And is it slow in the beginning? Of course it is. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not something it takes a lot of just pushing forward one foot in front of the other. And if you look at the mountain ahead of you, oh my gosh, overwhelm. Can we say overwhelm? Yes, that mountain looks huge. But if you just approach it in doable tasks, make your lists every day, work on special projects when you can, and just push forward as much as you can each and every day, it will begin to, I always call it the snowball rolling down the hill. Eventually you get the snowball so big that it'll roll down the hill by itself. I asked one of my mentors way back when, I said, do I really have to market all the time? I was exhausted from trying to get clients in the door, and it seemed like to get every client was this hard-won battle. And I mean, they really were. And I'm like, do I have to do this for every single client? This is crazy. Well, over time, no. Eventually, the snowball starts rolling down the hill itself. Clients begin seeing that you're in an area, you're known for having longevity in an area, you begin to get referrals, you build that brand reputation, and the clients begin to come without as much initial effort. So it does come, it just takes a while, but it takes that discipline and self-motivation, and most importantly, that persistence to just keep going no matter what. Jackie Marie, hi Jackie, one of my Market Like You Mean It Mastery students. She asks, when do you think you're ready to do these videos? She says, I've been doing this for almost 4 years, and I feel like there are so many other amazing photographers in my area. I don't want to look dumb, LOL. I started to do live videos and with product purchases. So show off the product and want people to buy them. Jackie, this is a great idea. I think like Anna was saying, clients want to see the creative process. They want to see behind the scenes. They want to see how your images are created. And so by you showing a quick Facebook Live behind the scenes of what you're doing and how you're creating, that is fascinating. Remember when you first started out in photography and you loved the imagery, and then any little behind the scenes moment you could find you wanted to watch from anybody? That secret, so to speak, that's not available to everyone, if you broadcast that out via Facebook Live, clients get intrigued and they want to see more, and they begin to connect with who you are. And one thing that Anna said that I thought was so profound and so important is, it's not about how good you are and showing how good you are in your marketing. It's about who you are and communicating personality, why you do what you do, and really who you are as an artist. And showing behind the scenes is a great way to do that. So I don't think it's ever too early to start. That process is something that will develop that loyal brand following to your product and what you do, and will help create those evangelist clients and target your ideal client, the one who truly loves what you do and the one who is intrigued by the process of creating art. You want people who love art to hire you, because those are the ones who are going to spend the money and be devoted to your cause. Natalia says, what are other social places to share your work? In other words, not Facebook. This is a great question. I think it all depends on your ideal client, Natalia. That woman, that ideal person whom you want to target. And I always liken it to having a relationship or courting someone. Like when your husband or wife first started the romance, so to speak, what you wanted that person to just think the best of you, and you wanted to put forth your best self, but at the same time, you were also fascinated with them and who they are. That person was a perfect match for you. They were the soulmate for your business, or for your mind, for you as a person. I want you to do the same thing with your business. Find that soulmate for your business. So where is she in social media? Is she on Facebook? 9 times out of 10, they are. Is she on Snapchat? If you're a high school senior photographer, then yeah, your client's probably on Snapchat, that teenager, that younger audience. What about Pinterest? For me, Pinterest is big. My clients are totally on Pinterest, not only my photography clients, but also my students. And Pinterest is such a visual medium, and I can direct traffic to my website through Pinterest. And Instagram, of course, is another great place. Instagram is for visual medium businesses, businesses that offer some kind of visual process or have a lot of visual product. Instagram is the place for you. But all these places are starting to become pay-to-play places. If you want to expand your audience, you have to start doing some advertising. You can do Facebook and Instagram advertising very cheaply and build an audience. And there are ways to do that through content marketing, where you're actually having the Facebook ads pay for themselves. So consider that. Do things like that, those tripwires, things, content marketing that makes people buy a small product from you online. Perhaps it's an e-guide on how to decorate your walls, or an e-guide to what to register for your newborn baby. I'm just, speaking from my own experience when it comes to newborn photography. But that kind of thing, just a small, cheap $5 product. Someone wants your beautiful ebook on how to create a wall gallery in the nursery, then they're going to buy that product from you, and that pays for the Facebook ads that you just used to build traffic. Plus, they opted in to get the product, so you're building your list and your email list. There are many amazing marketing strategies out there that are digital content marketing strategies that will help grow a list that you own, that you can then communicate to and market to. Just like Anna said, that newsletter is a key component of your studio and is what's truly going to help you grow and keep that relationship going with potential clients and current clients for that matter. Jennifer Lewin says, where do you recommend starting your website if you have never had one? I know I need one so badly, but I'm clueless as to begin or where to start. Jennifer, if you're just completely clueless, there's a couple ways to go. You can go with a website like Squarespace. Squarespace is a service that provides templates and ready-to-go websites that literally are just plug in your stuff, plug and play. That's like the easiest way to start. If you want to take things to a little bit of a higher level and you want some more customization, I would highly recommend, and so many websites out there use the service, is WordPress, a self-hosted WordPress blog, and a blog site, I should say. WordPress started out as strictly being blogs, but then over the years, it's become an actual website platform. And that's powerful stuff because you can self-host it. What do I mean by that? Well, you purchase a server or a chunk of a server on a hosting company, like bluehost.com is a great place to start. And when you that's $5 a month to have a hosting site, you can install WordPress on that host server and then get a free template somewhere and build a site that allows you to customize it and grow with it in the future. Now, does this take a little bit of technical knowledge? Yes, but it's certainly nothing like trying to code CSS or HTML. You don't have to do that these days. Building a website can be really simple. So Jennifer, I would suggest going to Squarespace, or if you want to take it a little bit further and you have some time to do a little bit of a learning curve, try a self-hosted WordPress blog site, I should say. Go to a place like bluehost.com initially, and they will walk you through the process of installing that. But really, things like Squarespace are probably the fastest and easiest way to get started with a beautiful website that will be up to date, follow the trends that are currently out there, and attract people to your business. Okay, last question. Jennifer says, that is my frustration. I'd say at least 50% of the time, if not more, I am getting people asking me a million things that are on the website right under the session they're inquiring about. Oh, I can relate to that. I ask if they read the website and they say they've seen it, my contact form is on the website and my number is on the website, et cetera, but they just aren't reading it. I just had someone book today and they didn't realize digitals are not included. My contract says it, my website says it, I told them on the phone. I'm not sure how much clearer I can be. Jennifer, this is such a common problem. By the way, hi, Jennifer. She's great. She's been to some of my Creative Life classes. So welcome, Jennifer. It's literally taking sometimes a baseball bat. Well, I shouldn't say literally, I should say figuratively, but taking a baseball bat and hitting the client over the head and saying to them right up front, please understand the session fee covers the time and talent of the photographer, the editing of your images, and the ordering appointment. It does not include any digital files or personal printing rights. It does not include any products. You will purchase that at the ordering appointment. So, sometimes I think people just ask these questions because they want to see if they can go there, like change the rules or change the policies. But most people are really kind and nice, and they just don't get it. They haven't read the materials. I've taken to we've just started this fresh this year, as a matter of fact, very much starting it, is to, even though Belinda books our clients over the phone, me calling them a few days before, reiterating everything in the contract, reiterating what's going to happen throughout the session, asking them the questions that I need to know in order to design their session well, and generally just connecting with them and getting that interpersonal relationship started before they come and meet me for the first time at the session. So again, it's just that pre-consultation, really hammering things out, asking if everything is clear, asking if they have any further questions, and just making sure you're figuratively beating them over the head with that baseball bat with all the information. And sometimes, Jennifer, even when you do that, there's nothing you can do. They just don't get it. And you have to say it again in the ordering appointment, and they act all upset and frustrated. But at that point, I just simply say, you know what, we've talked about this several times. It's in our contract that you signed. I'm sorry if there's been a misunderstanding, but we just can't release digitals at this rate. It would ruin our business. We have to make certain numbers with every session that comes to the door. This is what we do. This is what's been told to you on numerous occasions. And if you're not happy, you're certainly not obligated to buy anything. We'd be sad and disappointed about that, but there's only so much we can do to make it clear. And with that being said, the client knows when they've read and when they haven't, and when they've heard things and when they haven't. So, I guess sometimes you just have to say the truth hurts, tell the truth, and the truth hurts. As long as you say it in a kind way and in a truthful way and say, hey, there's no way I could be profitable at this rate. And then they try to compare you to the photographer down the street who's shooting and burning to say, well, you do get what you pay for. That photographer is an amateur who's trying to pay for their hobby. Their expenses are different and less than mine, and they operate on a just different business model than me. So, again, sometimes the truth hurts. So I think that's it. Is that it for questions, Belinda? I think no, we have more questions. That's it for questions. Awesome. Well, again, I cannot thank Ana Brandt enough for joining us today here on Jewel TV. And I appreciate her putting up with all of our technical issues. And I appreciate you for putting up with a few technical issues. We had that video window in the upper screen. This is one of our first actual pre-recorded interviews. And so I appreciate you guys being patient with us as we tackle some technical issues as well. All the while, our big goal is just to serve you as students and try to get you as much education as possible, in the hopes that it makes you and your life and your families and your business and this little dream that you have of being a photographer come to fruition. So again, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today here on jewel-tv.com. And if you want to see the archives and get access to today's freebie, which is a social media strategy guide, as I'm sure you guys realized as I spoke with Ana today, the underlying current of almost everything that we talked about had to do with having a really good social media strategy, because from your website to your promo videos to your newsletter, all of that has a social media aspect of it. So we put together a 5-step, or is it 6-step? I think it's a six-step guide, a 7-step guide on developing a good social media strategy. So go ahead and download that at jewel-tv.com. You'll have to opt in and then sign into your account, and Jewel TV will be accessible to you from here on out. You can watch past episodes and future episodes there. And of course, we air for the most part every Tuesday morning here at 9 a.m. on Facebook Live. Again, thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful week, and I hope you truly have one of those weeks where you just kick booty and get stuff done. Make a task list, make it happen, and we'll see you again next week. We have lots of special guests coming up here in the next couple weeks, along with next week's episode on pricing, which will be huge. That's a big one for everyone. And in the meantime, have a great week, and we'll see you then.